She missed her own grandfather's funeral. She blocked every single person in her family. She handed over her bank account, and if you asked her right now, she would look you dead in the eye and tell you she is completely free. This is the terrifying reality of the 7M TikTok cult, and it proves that almost everything you think you know about cult psychology is dead wrong. When the Netflix documentary dropped, exposing how TikTok star Miranda, Derrick, and dozens of other dancers were systematically isolated by a man named Shinn, the internet asked the exact same question: how could they be so stupid? But that question completely misunderstands how psychological manipulation works. Cults do not target weak or naive people. They target smart, highly ambitious people. Because ambition is leverage. To understand how a talent management company transformed into an alleged psychological prison, you have to look at a 4-step blueprint called coercive control. And if you understand the final step, identity replacement, you will realize why physical escape is almost impossible. Step 1 is love bombing. Shinn didn't start by demanding obedience. He offered struggling young dancers community, a guaranteed path to fame, and a father figure. He didn't attack them. He overwhelmed them with exactly what they needed most. But here is where the trap snaps shut. Step 2 is isolation, but it is never, ever framed as isolation. It is rebranded as protection. Former members report that Shinn preached that without the group, their families would face spiritual attacks. Do you see the psychological genius of that? He didn't tell them to cut off their families. He made their families seem like the actual threat to their survival. Step 3 locks the door. Financial dependency. Dancers were allegedly required to funnel their earnings back through fees and spiritual contributions. Once a victim has no money and no outside support network, leaving is no longer a choice. It is a physical impossibility. Which brings us to the final, most fatal mechanism. Identity replacement. After enough time inside a high-control environment, the victim stops existing as an individual. They define their entire reality through the group. When former 7M dancer Kylie Douglas finally escaped, she said, "It's almost like you're relearning how to be you again." That sentence should terrify you. She literally lost access to her own mind. In his landmark research on thought reform, Dr. Robert Lifton identified the core feature of all high-control groups. The leader is always right, and doubt is always the follower's failure. Once that psychological frame is installed, any evidence against the cult becomes proof that the doubting person is broken, not the group. Miranda's family did everything right. They went public. They built a support network. They made massive noise. And she is still inside. That is not a failure of her intelligence. That is the brutal, terrifying efficiency of coercive psychology. What do you think is the hardest psychological trap to break out of? Love bombing or financial control? Tell me below. And if you want to know how these exact same coercive control patterns show up in normal, everyday toxic relationships, click the video on your screen right now.